Like to hang do the things he do. Why yo you makes me wanna be your boo. What up? 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 Okay, I got too many damn moving parts here, people. I at the last minute I decided to do something. I've been wanting to do this show, and I'm trying instead of trying to get you guys out at a different time and then respectful what's already your time. I decided that I was gonna add. Oh, look who came back! You missed me, didn't you? I know. I miss you too, boo. I'm tripping as usual, as usual. Um, so I got all this stuff going on, but as I told you before, I'm checking out some different mediums, some different platforms. I want to be able to reach as many people as humanly possible. So, in with that in mind, um, I'm looking for ways to I'm looking for ways to get you guys incorporated because the shows I want to do, um, I want audience participation. I know y'all tired of hearing me talking. Truth be told, I'm tired. I'm tired of talking till I'm blue in the face. You know, only you can make me feel the things I do. Tonight I'm drinking water. How about that? Y'all know I wasn't feeling well last week. I just finished up this these meds, and I wasn't supposed to. But last night I drank the beer to wash down that hot ass seafood I fixed. I boiled some crabs, and I still got some stuff left. After those big ass four clusters, man, I was like, why am I gonna be doing this other stuff? So, my sipages tonight is PG, straight out the PG, straight out the straight out the straight out the. Uh, my YouTube people, where y'all at? And I was kind of late coming there. I had so many things going on, man. I got every time I add a new platform, and when I say platform, I'm just okay. Hello, how you doing? How you doing? Come on in. I decided I would open this thing. I've got a few shows in the back of my head. I was kind of tired of talking about politics, but I got to talk about some of this nonsense. I mean, they tripping and carrying on and what have you, and all of that and all of that. So, when you see that beard outline, it's about to be some about to step in some booties. So if you look on my other Facebook page, I call it my Green Hat Facebook page, you're gonna see a link for the clubhouse. And I was gonna post it on both pages, but I posted it on the page with the least amount of people because I didn't want it to quote unquote be a distraction. Miss Miss Sullivan. So anyway. Good evening. What's happening, people? As for me, I can't get no rest. Don't know how I'll work all day. When will I learn? My memories get in the way. And I walk around. For some reason, I've been having that spinners in my head. I went by a new friend's house and they were doing karaoke and what have you. And one of the guys wanted to do the Sadie, and it threw me back, man. It sent me back to a time when me and my boy used to hang on the on the porches late at night in the summertime, and we'd be doing whatever was out. And I remember that was the summer that the Spinners Live album came out. And it basically threw Felipe Wynn into the spotlight as the lead singer because he was the one who said, "Send me down what? Send me down the walking can, send me down my hat. Hurry now and don't be late, cause we ain't got time to fat. A rubber band man." And then he wind up doing the vocals for and one of my boys just be bugging me out with that bullshit. He posted him and his 13 wives. He gonna say he got 3 wives. I know his ass is a polygamist in 14 states. But anyway, y'all got me bugging tonight. What's happening, people? How y'all doing? I really want to do some things here. Um, I opened up a chat to Clubhouse because I want to find ways of getting participation. And some of you say you want to participate, but you don't necessarily want to be on camera. So to the new people in the house, I want to say what's up. It's about 8 past the half right about now. I'm gonna actually start this thing off, and I'm gonna say good evening, welcome to the show. Before I get started, each and every week I always say I want to take a minute to thank you guys. I'm truly humbled that all the things you could be doing on a Thursday night, you choose to be here listening to me break it down and give you my take on what's going on in a word. Well, tell her, of course I'm a hottie, I guess, but thank you. I guess that's supposed to be the correct response, huh? Thank you, something like that. I don't know. I don't know. So anyway. Um, so I'm trying to try this thing out while we're doing this, and I got a thousand things going on. I got so many moving parts. Oh damn! Oh damn! Oh damn! Oh damn! Look at that! Look at that! I ain't gonna flex. I ain't gonna flex. I'm still fat, but I got a little muscle left. What if we really look the way we think we look? What if people saw what we see when we look at ourselves in the mirror? Wouldn't that be a trip? Uh, so yeah, I'm drinking water, and I feel like I'm bugging more than if I was drinking some liquages. Yeah, liquages. That's a Hank word. But back to the show. As I said, I want to get serious for a minute and seriously thank you guys for tuning in. On Thursday nights, I try to give you my take on what's been happening in a week, what's been happening in my consciousness, so forth and so on. Interacting with you guys either online, in person, via text and DMs and what have you, motivates me to do some of the shows, and I get messages as a result. And I think, messages come to us through very different mediums at times. I guess my YouTube people are kind of slow because I was kind of late getting up for whatever reason. Every time I add something, it throws one of my previous things into a tizzy. So, with that being said, I want to say good evening. Welcome to the show. My name is Hank Batiste. The show is called Omit the Logic. I say omit the logic because the things we say, the things we do make no sense. But each and every week, I try to break it down. A, to is unfixably broke, and B, to try to make the shit that don't make sense make it make sense, if that makes any sense. So, my background is in healthcare and medicine, and I'm a philosopher from way back. But I'm educated in several different mediums, and those areas I try to focus on. And my mom's used to always say, "What we do comes back. There's nothing new under the sun." So what I try to do is some of it I regurgitate, and some of it I try to expand upon. to give you guys a what I call a sensible take on things that don't make sense. So we're gonna make it make sense. Each and every week, I talk about the voices in my head. The voices in my head this week is somewhat perplexed. It's somewhat pissed off to the utmost of pissosity. So I'm feeling so many different things. I guess my question is simple. If love is stronger than hate, then where does this foolishness end? I said all of that to say this. Excuse me. And that's why I'm drinking the water. I said all that to say this. Just as we're starting to get rid of one hate filled demagogue, there's another one brewing here in Florida. And if you know, I live in Florida. Ron DeSantis has been a second term governor, but of course, he has his sights on a high office, that being president. So he's starting to take his hate tour on the road. He went up against Disney. Um, he's gone up against Black AP classes and critical theory and things of this nature. He's gone up against everything that's not white. And what really gets me is this comes from someone who's not white themselves. With a name like DeSantis, it tells you that his background is one of a Hispanic nature or Hispanic culture. And with that being said, it always boggles my mind how people try to prove what I call a secondary whiteness, assume a, a whiteness about themselves simply because they feel like it's the easiest way to be accepted and get the power that they're seeking. So he's starting to go at some of the HBCUs here in the state of Florida. For some reason, we get people from the north that move to Florida, and people always want to talk about how racist the South is, and this, that, and the other. And I'm gonna just say this: I'm a proud Southern gentleman, if you will. I was born and raised in New Orleans, but I've traveled extensively as a young man. I exposed myself to different cultures. I immersed myself in said cultures, and I wanted to see how different people live. It was my first endeavor in what I call psychology, trying to understand why people do some of the things that they do. So I guess it was my catalyst for trying to make shit make sense. With that being said, um, when I look at people doing things like this, I always see it as a manifestation of self hate. We don't like who we are. We don't like our culture, so we adopt someone else's culture and we seek acceptance by humiliating and demolishing our own self image to see something that we are not. So it is what it is, people. It's not the first time it's going to happen, whether his name is Clarence Thomas or Ron DeSantis. People do things like that. I think they just don't like where they came from. They don't like how they came up. They don't like who they are. Me, I take great pride in my heritage, be it black. And like I told you last week and the week before, when my daughter started to talk about our Indian heritage, I felt negligent. I felt insufficient simply because I don't know enough about my Indian heritage. And when we look at North America was greatly populated by what we once called the Native American, but it was these Indian nations that expand the terrain from the East Coast to the West Coast, and we had all of these great Indian nations. And the one thing that they had in common with the Africans is they fought amongst themselves. And the problem that people tend to make, they start to assume that the enemy of my enemy is my friend. But that person really isn't your friend. You understand? You may utilize them to eliminate an enemy, but after that enemy is eliminated or eradicated, guess who's next? You are. And that's what we saw. And as a result, not only me, we don't know enough about Native American tribes because they were pushed from Massachusetts to New Mexico. And along the way, we heard about things in history called the Trail of Tears. So what's next? We get rid of that because we don't like anything that points America in a bad light. So America always has to be this shining example of what, and it's just not real, folks. It's not real. Okay, so you can hear me. You can hear me. You can hear me. Um, do me a favor. Say something to me. Lorraine. She hear me call her Lorraine. She's gonna trip. Can you hear me? So I asked her to go to this clubhouse, and I wanted to see if I could hear her and if she could hear me. I can't hear you. So that's gonna be a work in progress as I move from one platform to the other, and that's why I was a little late tonight. I got too many moving parts. So I'm trying to find something that works, but I'm trying to do it real time and not have it affect the other things that are tried and true. We started out on Facebook. We took it from, excuse me, from Facebook to YouTube. We took it from YouTube to Spotify, and we're going other places. My vision has always been to do a online audience, if you will, and have audience participation. I never wanted to just be one talking to people. I always wanted to establish a dialogue because my people, my friends, my Facebook family are very intelligent. Like I said, most of the energy, most of the ideas I get come from you guys and some of the other experiences I have. So I said all that to say this. We seem to have this new demagogue on the horizon. It's not just DeSantis, but hate just seems to be at a point in our society where um, there are some people who are who was once, oh, 1 2 1 2. I think it might even always be helpful if I turn the mic on. So anyway, um, I can hear her, but maybe she can hear me, and I'll deal with the clubhouse. So what I'm going to do, in addition to that, I want to talk about something. I felt like the antidote to all of this hate is to get back to the basics. And how do we define love? The purest kind of love is between, uh, a parent and a child, a mother and a son, a father and a daughter, a father and his sons, and a mother and her daughter, and a family. But that has become perverted as well. The clearest indicator, that being Alex Murdaugh murdered his wife and his son. Well, in the purest sense of the word, every parent once told a child, I brought you in this world, I take you out. He actually did. His son had gotten so outlandish and was probably responsible for the demise of two or three people. And I'm just regurgitating or repeating what I've seen in print. So don't come at me for character assassination or slander, what have you. The stories are out there. This is not an original HB thought. And this is not just from the mind of me. This is me taking what's out there and trying to deal with it. As much as my children have pissed me off at times, and if you're a parent, when they're babies, you love them to death. When they come to those terrible twos and threes, they try your nerve for the first time, and then somewhere around 4 or 5, they become cute again. Then, 5 to 10, 11, it's kind of cool. Then something happens when they turn 12, 13, and they start, as my mom and them used to say, smelling themselves and thinking they're grown. So I figured the basics is to get back, first of all, to the man and the woman. If this world started off with an Adam and an Eve, or Osiris and Isis, if you will, then we have to get back to those origins. We have to get back to those basics. We have to reestablish a basic unit where mom and dad not only love, but they taught love. Because now what we see is this overpopulation of people that don't love nobody because they don't know how to love themselves. In response to that, I've been talking about men and women and dating because now, like a lot of you, I'm at an age where I'm embarking on my golden years. Well, my golden years are somewhat tarnished by the fact that, be it as it may, I'm alone. And yes, this is by choice, but I don't believe it's by design. The choices that I have been increased, as for you, exponentially by social media, internet dating, and online dating, and so forth and so on. So our dating pool has grown significantly. But the problem is how we live has been polluted by those same things that we call opportunities: social media, online dating, cyber dating, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I remember being 15 and my mom telling me, she said, son, and I shared the story with you guys before. I was 15, 16, and a young girl I had really been impressed with. Um, Her mom said something that was really nasty to her, and it stunned me. And I took it to my mom. My mom was kind of the village wise woman. People would come to my mom's house to seek her counsel. My mom would hold court at the kitchen table with an ashtray and a pot of coffee. So I would ear hustle or eavesdrop to get some of this knowledge that my mom was dispensing. And it was always what I call straight, no chase. So my mom didn't pull punches. And in the old days, our mothers, our grandmothers gave it to us straight. No filterization, no watering down. But it was done in the name of love, in the name of teaching us, in the name of teaching us to become whole, developing a whole person over a period of time. So, with that being said, I started off doing this with the women, and I talked about the women, and I keep saying over and over and over my observations. And I'm both a physical scientist. I have degrees in science and radiology and physics, and then I have degrees in social sciences like public administration. I started off in psychology and stuff like that. So when I try to combine the two, there's some overlap, but I did all of that to, like I say, understand why people do some of the things that did not make sense. To that, my mom would always say, common sense ain't common. If it was, people wouldn't do some of the silly things that they do. So I've been trying to come to a place in my consciousness where I could understand what was happening. where I could make sense of what was happening. And I felt like if I could do that, then each one reach one, so each one could teach one. And it would be something that would be as infectious as the hate that has a grip on our society as we know it. So that's where I am. That's where my head is. That's what I'm trying to do. What I devise or surmise or concluded, whatever words you want to use, from some of my observation is um, men and women don't necessarily seek the same thing the same way. You know, women seek things like security. Women sometimes seek men based on a particular type. I know this is true because when I meet a woman, she always said, "Well, what's your type?" I always say I don't have a type per se. I like an intelligent woman. I like a woman that I'm attracted to, but to me, that's not a type. It's not why some guys like big butts and other guys like breasts and other guys like leg. And I'm a leg man and all of that. All of those things are nice, but I look for a complete woman. Looking good. That's like having a brand new paint job on a jalopy. The car looks good, but the damn engine don't work. You know what I mean? You see these people with this $3,000 stereo system, $10,000 worth of rims, and every time they start it, it sounds like World War III. The engine is just blah. So you see these candy apple paint jobs lying on the side of the road collecting dust because people don't work on what's on the inside. And social media is the personification of that. It's the epitome of that. What we see is people that try to project these fabulous lives. I'm living my best life. Ain't no back and forth with you. Okay. If you're truly living your best life, you don't have to tell me. It'll be evident in the things you do. If you love yourself, you don't have to tell me. It'll be evident in how you treat others. If you don't like yourself, is very evident. And the fact that all you can spew is hate, and you feel like the only way to elevate yourself is by putting others down. So I'm working toward, excuse me, a place and time where I can do the kind of show I want, but it's going to require your participation. I'm trying this thing with this clubhouse. This is my first time trying it, but I have to perfect it. I have to get this down so that I can get that voice interaction. I've got some people that type me messages, and that's fine. And I try to respond to some of it, but I think it's always beneficial when you guys can speak in your own voice, when others can hear you speak in your own voice. So I try bringing people online or on camera. Some people say they don't want to be on camera. So I want to, maybe if I just do the voices, maybe once we get this clubhouse thing, and what I'm going to do, I tried to do it in conjunction with tonight's show, but there's just too many moving parts for Clubhouse and two Facebook productions and a YouTube production, and then I try to tape my show as well for my own edification, so I can go back and edit it and make it a more professional product. But that many moving parts, while I'm also trying to do the show, is a bit too much, even with someone like myself, you know. So I'm trying this out. What I'm going to do is open the clubhouse and incorporate some of you guys so that we can get this down as a secondary platform to interact and so I can get your thoughts. Oddly, where I got this idea from was when I was coming up, we used to make jokes, and I was one of the neighborhood jokesters. I wasn't quite Richard Pryor. That was a guy by the name of Michael Walker. This guy, well, okay, I take that back. I was probably like Richard Pryor, but Michael Walker was more like Bernie Mac because Michael Walker was so quick on it. His jokes came like machine guns. And anybody that lived the Zara Housing Project know Michael Walker was he was such an animated person, but he really was quick witted and brilliant, especially when it comes to making jokes. And he would start his jokes with that's why you're, that's why that, and he would rattle off these things, and you never even got a chance to jump in. You know what I mean? Is like me trying to do double dutch. I couldn't figure out the motion of the ropes to get in. So, that was him. For me, I was the guy, I was quick with it, but I would give a person the opportunity to come at me. And when you came at me, all it did was motivate me to come back at you. And the terrible thing about me, what made my jokes so effective, is my jokes were always based on truth. So I went by one of my boys' house one time, and I can't make this up. They had two TVs. One of them had an antenna. The other one had a code angle for rabbit ears. One of them, the pictures went like this. That horizontal hole didn't hold, and it played two channels. The other channel played on the other TV, and the sound played on the other TV better. So when it came time to make jokes, I said, that's why your mama got two TVs and a radio. One for ABC, NBC, the other one for CPS, and then y'all got a radio for sound. So it was a joke. It was funny. It was based on the truth. I threw the radio in, so I wasn't just hitting him based on the truth. And then I was thinking about how to bring these medians under one umbrella so that they could effectively give me an opportunity to incorporate my Facebook and my YouTube family. And I said, well, it would, since some people don't want to be on camera, since it seems to use so much of a bandwidth when I try to bring people up on camera and I'm unable to do so, I figured the best thing to do would be for me to use Facebook and YouTube for picture and Clubhouse for sound and feedback. So voila, there's where I am. So I'm gonna just put this out here. I know you late. Sit down. Sit down. It always reminds me of the I just have okay. I'm going off on a tangent. I gotta do this. I talk about Richard Pryor. Growing up, I had these heroes. One was Ali. One was Bruce Lee. The other was Richard Pryor because I saw his genius, the way he observed life, and then I saw his pain. Donny Hathaway. He was a phenomenal vocalist and musician because his pain came out in his music. If you listen to Donnie, so if I ever leave you, baby, you can say I told you so. And if I ever hurt you, I hurt myself as well. Yeah, yeah. Is that any way for a man to carry on? And I can't do it the way Donnie did it because Donnie was feeling the pain. He was feeling the pain of all of this. So when somebody comes in late, I just happened to be at the Richard Pryor show at the Singer Theater back in the day. And this guy, I think this was the show where the guy kept coming up with the camera. And he said, man, shut your ass down. You know you ain't got no film in that damn camera. So he takes the guy's camera and he takes a picture of himself and he said, "Nah, tell all your friends you got a picture of Richard Pryor's dick." You know? So when I see somebody come in and they start messing with me, start sending me messages, I feed off that energy and I just couldn't I apologize. So coming from New Orleans gave me some insight on how to do some of these things. And I'm trying to incorporate that in my actual show. So here's what I want to do, folks. Um, Moving forward, I'm going to try to incorporate Clubhouse so that those people that want to participate can do so by lending me their voices, by lending me their thoughts, and what have you. And the thing that we're going to talk about in the upcoming weekends and why this is so important is because I really want to do a deep dive into this whole, what I call the problems with families. You know, my mom and dad separated and divorced when I was about 5 or 6 years old. But my mom and dad were very much so a couple when it came to me and my sister, our siblings. So, with that being said, I think if we get back to the basics, if we can discover why it is that it's so hard for a man and a woman to become a successful unit. Um, I had two people on. One has become married. She and I was friends over a period of years, and we used to talk, and she would talk about the struggle she had in finding a man who just didn't want sex, and as much as she enjoyed sex, she that's not what she wanted. She wanted a man that could be her companion and so forth, and her husband. So when it happened for her, I decided to incorporate that and find out what was her key to success. Then I had this other young lady who I call a little sister of mine. And when I met her, she was just dating and getting engaged to a young man. And I watched them go through the stages and ultimately become married. And then I saw the struggle of them breaking up. So I tried to incorporate what happens when, you know, we think we get it right. And I came up with women have a type, you know. And the sad thing about that, and here's where I'm going with it. I want to do a show that looks at how to make our children whole and happy and ready for relationships. And I think the way of doing that is not talking about the mom or the dad. Usually, when there is a family and a family breaks up, or even when the family's together, they tend to interact with the mama side of the family more so than they do with the dad side of the family. And I think that's because usually dad, and I can only speak for myself and my dad, off making money, and that's our focus. And the woman is the glue that holds the family together. When I start to date a woman, and this woman calls her child a stupid mowing fool, you're no good, just like your pa, and all of that. I can't I can't stay in that kind of relationship. Even when I look at these young people today, and they're so volatile and they're so toxic with their tongue and how they talk to each other, you know, cursing each other out and what have you. How can you? One of my boys was 50 something years old and he had the audacity to call his baby's mama a trap hoe. And I'm like, well, hold up, hold up, hold up. How can you call her that and she's the mother of your child? If you thought enough of her to have sex with her, then it doesn't work out. Why would you even do that? You know? And then I hear terms like deadbeat dad. And remember, this was a term that was defined and decided upon, I think, by the system. Call it the white man, call it, welfare, call it the system or whatever, whatever, whatever. But it was systematically used to define men after the man was forced out of the house. Anytime a family was seeking any type of help, they could only get that help if it was a single parent household led by a mother and the man was out of the picture. As a matter of fact, I remember families in the project where the dad actually lived in the house, and I would watch them move the dad out when the welfare inspector or worker was coming by, a social worker, or whatever you want to say. And to keep on getting any type of assistance, it had to be determined that the man was no longer a part of the family. So you you emasculated the father of this child, of these children. You kick this man out of his house. And I think what we're seeing is decades of that type of behavior that's led to, anytime there's a breakdown between a man and a woman, the man is defined as being a deadbeat dad. You know what I mean? One of the things I told the judge is I'll pay child support, but that's just you know, that's the tip of the iceberg. And then I told him, I says, the little bit of money that I give to that family, I can't even decide how that money is going to be utilized. I don't know if she's going to buy, steak for herself and Cocoa Puffs for the children or not, because I saw that at times. So when women ask me, why are you by yourself? And I look at some of the people that they entertain, I said, because I'm not your type. I see the kind of dude you deal with. And I use dude to keep from using the N word. But a nigga is a shiftless, lazy person, underhanded. And it has nothing to do with color, creed, ethnicity, or race. So I want to get into some things. It's imperative that I get your feedback moving into these shows. And I hate to keep talking about these setups. I hate to keep talking about these cliffhangers, but it's imperative, it's important, is the primary thing is that you guys be able to participate, because I have ideas, but there are no absolutes. I could say that I've been called a deadbeat dad, but I know I paid for each and every one of my children. What I could also say is that I can count the Christmases that I was allowed to be a part of those children's lives. I can count the number of women whose mother decided that her daughter was going to do X, Y, Z. So, with that being said, I think it's important because I'm not dumping on women, nor am I dumping on men. But what happens is, and I'm gonna put this out there for the ladies, and then I'm gonna wrap this up because I don't want to just be talking. I really wanted to get. I was hoping that I would be able to get some voice feedback from some of the people on Clubhouse. Maybe tomorrow night, maybe Sunday night, maybe Monday night. I'm gonna send out these Clubhouse links, and maybe we can. Maybe you guys will help me. to get this online because I can't do it live while I'm trying to do these other things. So, with that being said, let me just say this and I'm done. When we look at the type of people that we associate with, and present company included, when I look at the type of woman that I was dealing with in high school, all my prerequisites were was that they look good and it feel good. As we get older, I see some people who are grown still acting that way. Only prerequisite is it look good and it feel good. Now there's a child that becomes a product of this look good, feel good relationship. One or two of the people grow up and they may grow apart. We've already devised the fact that we live in a society that does not want to see the black family prosper or the brown family or poor families because I've told you this is not a black or white thing. This is a have and a have not thing. So, in other words, those that have use words like entitlement to keep those that have not from having anything. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, those that have means and riches and wealth don't want to pay taxes, and the taxes that are generated, they want to be used in their communities for great lighting and nice streets and so forth and so. So, this is not just a black or white thing. This is a poor thing. This is a disenfranchised thing. And I think this is what's happening because once upon a time, what made poor families rich was the fact that they really did have a cohesive family environment. So when a kid is born into this relationship where a woman chooses a man and then decides at some point that she no longer wants to be with that man and deny access to the child and then turn around and makes herself look good or feel good by calling said man a deadbeat dad or what have you, or to those men who choose not to be a part of their children's lives. The thing that this all has in common is the child did not have a vote. So when you say things to your child that you stupid or you're just like your mom, you're just like your pa, and you start cussing them out and what have you, how could you expect them to grow up and be healthy and whole, productive adults? So this is where we headed with this. This is why, not everybody's going to have this Claire Huxtable, Heathcliff Huxtable type relationship. Not everybody's going to be, George and Wheezy or what's his name? Archie and Edith, the Cleavers. So once upon a time, what was happening on TV was these diverse families that had a strong family unit. But even when Archie called Edith a dingbat, at the end of the show, he would always follow up how much he cared and this, that, and the other. So we understood to some degree that he wasn't putting Edith down, even though he was using terms that was not as loving as we would like it to be, you know? So this is where we headed. I got a couple shows I really want to do. What happens when a kid doesn't have a choice? You understand? What happens when the dad really is a deadbeat dad and he chooses not to be in his child's life? Or what happens when a dad gets pissed because he has to pay child support and he decides to punish the child but not being there? What I told the judge is the monies that I give is is nothing. What I want is my child to have the relationship with me that I had with my father. What I want is my child to have the relationship with me by way of his mother that I had with my mother and father. Because my mother never called my dad no good and this, that, and the other. My mom never denied me access to my dad. But one of my daughter's mother, every time I would find out where they live, she would move again. So these are some of the things that goes on. It's not all men, it's not all women, but it's all children that are affected. So with that being said, I'm gonna call it a night, folks. Um, Two things, and I just want to reiterate before I let you go. I think I think the key to all of this hate that's being spewed and all of this hateful rhetoric from the Ron DeSantis and the Donald Trumps and some of these people and these poor people who are so afraid of losing the nothing that they have, but hating themselves so much that they don't want to see anybody else get a leg up either. I think the key to all of that is going back to the basics. So we're going to deal with the political ramifications by coming up with some of the personal things starting in the household. That's what we're going, baby. So with that being said, that's all I got for you tonight. Do me a favor before you go. My YouTube, Omit da Logic, da Logic, da Logic, OMITdaLogic. Because if you go, ironically, if you go to omit the THE logic, you're going to come up with a Richard Pryor thing. It is what it is. So I will see you next week. In the meantime, keep your eye on my page because I need help getting this clubhouse thing together. And that's where you come in. So I'm gonna need some participants. When you're not too busy, I'm gonna send out some links. I'll give you some notifications on where I am, and I'm always called the room in Clubhouse. There are rooms, so if you don't have Clubhouse, I'm going to send you a link where you can sign up and blah blah blah. But my room is always going to be called Omit da Logic, and then we'll talk about some things in that room. So moving forward, that's where we're going, and how we going to bring this together. Once we get that going, we can integrate it with this, and I can have pictures here, and I can have sound and participation there, and it won't draw so much on this bandwidth, this limited bandwidth that Facebook has given me. As always, I will see you next week right here, same Baptiste time, same Baptiste place. Before I go, I just want to say a special thank you to all of those people that called, texted, DM'd, and otherwise to check on me last week when I was not feeling well. It means the world to me. It really does. So I'm truly humbled that y'all give a shit about a brother. Because Lord knows sometimes it seems that you're the only ones who do. As always, I say before and I say again, don't be so afraid to die that you forget to live for a purpose. This is going to be legacy. The things that we do here today is going to make a difference in our children, our grandchildren, and their children's life. And last, but certainly not least, as always important, I wish you love. I wish you peace. Two fingers to the sky, like your man. Agreed. I'm out of here, people. I love you to death. Ain't shit you can do about it. Good night. Jen, I'm gonna send you some links, baby. Get your help to help me get this stuff together. La di da, la di da, la di dee da da. We'll be talking. I'll talk to you. Good night, baby.